But it wasn't from lack of trying, I can tell you that. Actually, Bill's last bullet put me in a coma. A coma I was to lie in for 4 years. When I woke up, I went on what the movie advertisements refer to as a roaring rampage of revenge. I roared, and I rampaged, and I got bloody satisfaction. I've killed a hell of a lot of people to get to this point. But I have only one more. The last one. The one I'm driving to right now. The only one left. And when I arrive at my destination, I am gonna kill Bill.
Kill Bill Volume 1 was an exhilarating, action-packed experience that was colorful, lightning fast, and packed full of variety. Kill Bill Volume 2 is kinda like Volume 1, except if someone took a sledgehammer to its ankle and shot it in the head. It's slower. Much slower. It really takes its time. Imagine Volume 1 being a blood-spattered snow cone, covered in sprinkles and caramel and totally ridiculous, and a pure guilty pleasure. Volume 2 is like a well-cooked steak. Now, maybe both volumes don't go together perfectly well. Maybe it would even be a bit jarring, and I can totally understand somebody moving on to Volume 2 and feeling completely underwhelmed, even finding it bland, bloated, and unenjoyable. Those people are wrong, and I'm sure they contribute very little to society. Because Kill Bill Volume 2 is a full meal. It's delicious, and it's well cooked and well seasoned. God, I should probably eat lunch soon. So this is much slower. Sure. But every shot, every conversation, every scene is fantastic. I love this movie. I love the pacing. I love the bigger focus on the characters and all the little small moments that just immerse you in the world. It's a fantastically enjoyable movie. Starting off, we go back to the happiest day of the bride's life, and it's just so tense and uncomfortable, with Bill showing up unannounced. The scene where Bud is getting chewed out at his job is also amazing. The movie has this way of making you uncomfortable because you know that these are extremely dangerous characters. But you end up leaving the scenes with very little bloodshed, but instead, some really solid insight on these characters, plus it's entertaining as hell. This movie's all about that slow build-up, and when it finally breaks into action, the movie yanks you back. She might be a badass samurai assassin, but she's still human. There's so much more room to breathe, except, when it buries her alive and it feels like you're suffocating. The movie just holds on her panicking in the casket while you hear the dirt piling up on top of her. The way it's shot is so cold and horribly terrifying. But that's the strength of this volume. It's somewhat grounded. The next day, Bud and Elle are completing a transaction, and the movie is going to swiftly take care of both number 3 and number 4 in the Death List 5. Elle betrays Bud by using a venomous snake called the Black Mamba, which she hides in a briefcase of money being used to purchase Beatrix Kiddo's Hanzo sword. Oh hey, I can say her name now. Speak of the devil, the bride shows up and there's a really awesome fight scene. And then she squishes Elle's last remaining eyeball with her foot. So yeah, this movie's pretty much a masterpiece. Now with the Deadly Viper Squad being no longer with us, it's time for the bride to come for Bill. Now, if you were upset that this movie wasn't quite as exciting and gruesome as the first one, you're in for a big surprise. Bill might not have a giant army of Yakuza cannon fodder that Beatrix is going to have to slice and dice her way through, but he does have a little girl with a fake gun. But she does have a very strong advantage. Of course, besides being adorable. She's Beatrix's daughter that was previously presumed dead. So now the movie halts to a complete stop. This is a normal Tuesday night at the Bill residence. They make some sandwiches and talk about fish and the concept of life and death. She gets tucked into bed and they watch a nice little samurai movie. And then Mommy and Daddy have a late night conversation about the duality of Superman. Which sounds pleasant. Who doesn't want to listen to an analysis on Superman? It's great. Now, before Beatrix and Bill face off, I should probably jump back a bit and talk about the past. Quentin Tarantino expertly jumps around in the storyline to fit the narrative as best as possible. Now, I'm not very good at that. My videos are all over the place. So let's look at what he does. After Beatrix gets buried alive, we enter Chapter 8, where we learn about Pai Mei, and Bill is going to have Beatrix train underneath him. This scene is good for a few reasons. The story is cool, that's one. But also, it builds up Pai Mei as this incredibly horrifying instructor, somebody that Beatrix should be afraid of. You feel like, in this scene, you better understand their relationship as well. It's a good moment. But you also learn about the 5-point palm exploding heart technique, a super secret technique that Pai Mei has taught nobody, not even Bill. Now I know what you're thinking. Obviously, this comes back. It has to. That's screenwriting 101. But the way it's introduced in the movie, it feels less like a setup and more like a fantastical tale about Pai Mei and how incredibly powerful he is. His training is brutal, and you have every reason to believe that he isn't super fond of Kiddo. She has her montage, and she seems to gain a little respect, but by this point, you're not thinking about the 5-finger death punch thing. You're thinking about how she's punching that wood. And, oh shit, she's gonna punch through that coffin, right? That's clever writing. By the time Beatrix and Bill are face to face, you're not really thinking about Pai Mei anymore. You're thinking about fish, and sandwiches, and Superman. Anyway, she kills Bill, and the movie has a happy ending. These movies are so different from each other, in execution and in pacing and style, but they go together like peanut butter and jelly. In Volume 1, you get the action. In Volume 2, you get the motivation, the weight, the drama. Volume 2 isn't weighed down by its slower pacing. The first one is style over substance. The second one is substance over style. But there's still plenty of style. There's an abundance of it. Well, I'm feeling a bit burned out doing both of these videos at the same time, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm still kinda hungry too, all that talk about food.